who was on station?
Yeah.
USS Oriskany was left on station as one lone carrier. Oriskany was also scheduled to rotate
Right.
as soon as USS Ranger and USS Hancock arrived. See, this time period when the raid occurred, that was the changeover.
Right.
That was the worst of times for the Navy to provide support. So Bardshar had a problem. First, he delayed the departure of Oriskany. He couldn't delay USS America. That ship sent. But he canceled all the training, en route training that carriers do after they depart Hawaii. They go to the Pacific and they take their good old time. Every airman gets to fly and they test everything so they're combat ready when they arrive. They canceled that. They said, "You steam in there." They came to Kubi Point ahead of schedule, and their time at the port was limited to the time it took to refurbish supplies and all of that, and zoom. They had to go in there. And guess what? Different. Bardshar said there will be no move reps. So there was no message sent that USS Ranger has departed.
Was moving up to Yankee Station.
It was all done in secret. Same thing happens to Hancock, which followed. Okay? So the raid was scheduled for the 21st. Okay?
Yep.
So what happens?
This was primarily driven by atmospherics, by the moon phase and things
yes,
like that?
it was done by the moon phase, and that was the most appropriate time for us to do it.
So the presumption is that if it for whatever reason, if it didn't go off on November 21st, it probably would have been kicked a month or so.
Yes, well, we had good few days left or right.
Yeah,
we could do it, but
if you missed that window, then it would have gone into the next cycle.
Okay,
Gotcha.
that was the date that was given to Bardshar. So be ready on the 21st, and he didn't say how many carriers he would have on board. So here you go. On the 18th, Ranger arrives at Yankee Station. On the 19th comes USS Hancock. Okay? On the 20th, night of the 19th to the 20th, Manor decides we have to go 24 hours early. Instead of 21st, we go on the 20th because Typhoon Patsy was moving from the Philippines.
Yeah, the typhoon coming in.
Ouch! See,
Right.
Here you have two new carriers coming on board, so he held one back. But Bardshar wanted all three of them. Okay, the maximum impact on the North Vietnamese. Here, North Vietnamese realized, hey, we have three carriers there. There were no sit reps and so on.
Right. But this is virtually 10 times the amount of aircraft that Simons and Manor had asked for. Right?
No, I don't understand your question.
They asked for 6 aircraft for diversion.
Well,
and now
they did not ask for specific things. They did not understand how Navy operates. Neither did I. I also thought they have few airplanes over there. But later on, I was invited on an aircraft, USS Constellation, and I spent 3 days there. So I saw how they operated.
Well, I think what you're saying,
and all of that.
The monumental thing about the Navy's involvement is essentially that Manor and Simons asked for very little, really. Like, hey, give us just a few airplanes to fly north because you haven't been able to do that, and that would be the diversion.
Yeah.
And also, we want you to keep it a big secret and keep it a secret from your boss.
Okay.
And in what the Navy's response was, we'll give you X-fold that. I mean, it was like three carriers have whole hell of a lot of airplanes, and they kept it such a secret. They kept the secret from their own boss,
Okay.
but they also didn't tell anybody that was involved. Like I know the air boss, the air boss was in charge of launching, had no idea what they were launching the aircraft for.
That's right.
Just that it was important that they did it, which is amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what I'm getting to next. Now, the planning while these carriers are moving on location, the planning for the diversion is taking place at Kubi Point. Because when the USS America departed Yankee Station, he took P.D. Hoskins, who was the intel officer, chief intel officer.
Yeah, he took his planning staff with him to Kubi Point, right?
And the operations officer was Boot Hill. Boot Hill was in Washington, D.C. He was flying in to Hawaii. In Hawaii, he was told, go to Kubi Point, Bardshar is waiting for you. Okay, so he became the chief planner, but at the time he came in, P.D. Hoskins was already developing a plan. It will be three-pronged attack. There will be three attacks. One set of A-7s would fly north or inland, north of Hanoi, and go to the vicinity of Kep Air Base, turn around and start dropping flares going from west to the east at specific intervals.
So they were. They. I mean, that's impressive. So they were basically trying to feign that they might be doing something like the Operation Bolo, where they were going in and doing MiG suppression.
Confused, you know.
At night.
At night, yes. It was daytime war, but this was a big nighttime operation. Okay, next.
But also, real quickly, so just to highlight something that you've previously said, this Admiral Bardshar had some guts, because right after a major election in the United States, right after, in the midst of a replacement on station, he believed in them, and being asked, or essentially told, hey, if you're going to participate, you can't tell your boss what you're going to do. And we also don't want you to tell the people that are going to go risk their lives exactly what they're going to do. He took his planning staff and moved it off the carrier into Kubi Point, where he could organize and have secrecy, and even retracted and pull the critical piece that was sitting in D.C., brought it to him so that he could keep it. See, that guy had some serious guts.
Yeah, he did. So it wasn't simple to just put on a divert. We wanted just put on a few airplanes,
because if any little thing had gone south, you know, in military politics, he would have been left the guy without a chair. His boss would have crushed him, and so on and so forth. Wow, that's amazing.
So the first wave I've described was north of Hanoi, overland. The second wave was over the islands east of Haiphong and close to Haiphong, and third wave of attackers were over the Haiphong harbor itself, simulating mining. So that was the plan. Now, the plan, like we said, it was developed at Kubi Point. It arrived on station when, let me see, on the 19th of November. On the 19th of November, Bardshar and P.D. Hoskins and Boot Hill, he was Captain Boot Hill at that time, landed on board of USS Oriskany at 12:31 p.m. on the 19th. And shortly after they land, they receive a warning that operation may go one day early, which means tomorrow.
Right. So they land midday on the 19th.
That's right.
They'd
Now-
probably turn that carrier into their flagship, and they have to brief.
Well, no.
No?
I'm going to get to that.
All right, let's get there.
There was no flagship.
No.
Okay. The ops plan was very secretive and very detailed. And I'm going to quote few sentences from the op plan, how Bardshar approached it.
Yeah.
Security consideration prohibit full disclosure of the exact nature and timing of the operation. Should any question arise concerning the conduct of this operation, they will be directed to me personally. Okay? Electrical transmission of messages concerning this operation is prohibited. Okay? Now, this is the op order that people are getting on the day of the 20th when the operation is there. That's the first time the three carriers are looking at it. And it also says, once the plan is opened by the designated addressees, disclosure of such positions as necessary to accomplish your assigned missions is authorized. So you brief your crews. Once this plan has been opened, no personal mail will leave your ship. Okay? Personnel will be transferred only in emergency cases, the brief personnel on a plan. And he said, and this will hold until the operation is either completed or canceled. There'll be no public statements regarding this operation even after it's concluded without my without approval of the commander. Press and other visits to units involved in this operation are forbidden. And he said, if this operation goes, after it is completed, all plans will be destroyed. There's only one plan that survived. That plan was the one that General Mano had and Bull Simons had in their hands. So one of the reasons why there was no trail to this operation, because Navy destroyed everything after the operation was finished. So Bardshar was that thorough, that controlling about what was happening. Now,
So
okay,
let me ask you.
here's something interesting about
A question for you. So normally, people that command aircraft carriers and fleets.
Could you speak a little bit louder?
Normally, people that command aircraft carriers and fleets in the United States Navy come up through the air wing of the Navy. So was Bardshar an aviator?
Yes.
Sure. I'm not
They
surprised.
were all aviators.
So
And-
do you think that Bardshar, what he did was very aggressive,
Yes.
and very loyal to someone he had never worked for. So essentially, an outlying organization in secret approached him and said, "We want you. This is the thing. We have the highest approval. We want you to do this. So the next rung up your ladder, we want you to keep that guy in secret."
Well-
and